and good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Dr. Terri Easley-Giraldo. I am Chair and Professor of Communication Studies here at Johnson County Community College, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. All 8 candidates were invited to attend, and for a historic first, we have all 8 candidates here tonight, so give me a round of applause for our candidates. Before we get started, I'd like to thank some people and let you know the format for this evening. This is our 4th candidate forum that we've co-sponsored with the League of Women Voters of Johnson County. I'd like to thank them for helping us plan, organize, and host this event tonight, and especially for handling and organizing the audience questions and timekeeping tonight. I'd especially like to thank Marie Hernandez and Debbie Kitchen for all of their work. We have many Zoom calls and emails as we plan for tonight. And this is the 3rd election cycle I've had the honor of working with them, and they simply are the best. So thank you, Debbie and Marie, for all of your work. I'd also like to thank the Faculty Association, especially Dr. Irene Olivares, for assisting me in preparing the FA questions for tonight and just giving moral support throughout the process, asking if everything was okay. So thank you for that. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank our incredible staff here at Johnson County Community College. It takes many different departments to host something like this, so thank you to scheduling and events, multimedia services, video services, the Midwest Trust Center operations, and the strategic communication departments. This could not have happened without any of them, so all of them coming together, we appreciate all of your hard work for this event. You can applause for them, yeah. Okay, so now to the good stuff for the format for tonight. This is an informative candidate forum, not a debate, so there will not be rebuttals or back and forth between the candidates. Each question will be asked of all of the candidates, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question before we move to the next candidate. We have 3 prepared questions from the FA and the League of Women Voters, and then the rest of the questions will be from you all, the audience. If you'd like to submit a question, please fill out the index cards and hold them up for a volunteer to pick up. She will come and grab those. I will remind you between questions to submit questions. Please don't wait until the end to ask a question because then it may not have the opportunity to be asked. We'll try to get through as many questions as we can during this hour and a half together. A rotating order was created for each question, so it's not the same candidate speaking first or after the other same candidate, so it's fair and balanced as much as possible, and the candidates have been given the order that we will follow for tonight. We will have a 1-minute final statement from the candidates at the very end. And this is being recorded and will be shared on the Johnson County Community College's YouTube channel soon. All right, so let's get started with the first question of the evening. Candidates, I'm happy to repeat the question for you because there's 8 of you, so you might forget it by the time it gets to you. And so ask me to repeat it and I'll be happy to do so. So, first question. Shared governance is the way that faculty, staff, administrators, and the board work together to make decisions about the college. What do you believe is the board's role in fostering shared governance? We will start with Mark Hamill.
Thank you for that question. In my experience with management, one of the most important things is to get down to the person actually doing the job. And that's one of the things that shared governance brings to the table. The further you get away from the actual person doing the job, it's harder to even understand what's really happening and to know how to improve the situation. But of course, you go right to the person who's dealing with it, can easily help answer that question. And that really gets to the heart of what the importance of shared governance really means. And that goes all the way through from top to bottom. No matter where you're at, you got to make sure we're communicating with everybody to make these decisions and understand the ripples that are going to happen. A lot of the changes we make are almost always obviously made with great intentions. And it might solve the problem, but what are the issues that it causes along the way that you weren't the intended solutions? So again, governance is extremely important. It's a big commitment of the board to make sure we make that happen for everybody. And it's a tough one. It's like communication. It's no perfect answer for this. Everybody needs different communications. There is such thing as over communication. There's obviously, even more importantly, under communication is even more important. But trying to get that right and keep focusing on driving towards getting that, because that's what's best for the faculty, the best what's for the staff, and it's also what's best for the students here and all of Johnson County.
Thank you. Next, we have Jerry Charlton.
Thank you for the question. Just to pick up on what Mark was saying, it's about communication. I'm going to touch a little bit on my background as a professional engineer. And one of the most important parts of being a professional engineer is accepting constructive criticism. That's the only way that we provide or present sound engineering practices going forward. So I bring a constructive dialogue to the board so that any of the policies that we are enacting or voting on, have a constructive dialogue. That's very important.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Lee Cross.
Thank you for the question, Terry. I'm glad to be here tonight, and I really did appreciate Trustee Hamill's response. I think that was relatively spot on, and in 3 terms as trustee, I promise you I've always worked to communicate not only with the FAA leadership, but with individual members within the FAA, some of whom have really helped teach me what goes on. We've had good professional staff and leadership here, but the faculty has always helped inform me in terms of what's going on or a different perspective out and away from what the administration says. I've worked to do several things. One is just listen. As much as I like to talk, it helps to listen, I think, as Mark said, and even Jerry alluded to, constructive conversations. But I've worked to collaborate with FAA leaders and members, and then work to really talk to everyone, including chambers of commerce, so that we can begin to synthesize and weave together the opinions of everyone and how important our faculty are to teaching medical professionals and other workers, businesses, and the community needs for us to generate. I've helped get faculty raises and salary increases, and that wasn't always a popular thing to do on our board, although we eventually got there. And I haven't been to an FAA meeting in a while, candidly, but I still work to communicate with a number of leaders, and I'll continue to do the same in my 4th term. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chad Carroll.
Thank you for the question. First, I would like to thank the Faculty Association and League of Women Voters for putting on this amazing event. When I think of shared governance, I focus on collaboration. And it's my understanding that the College Council was created for this purpose. So working alongside the Faculty Association, the Adjunct Council, the Student Senate, as well as the community to ensure that our students are successful. I believe communication is key. However, we really have to listen to not only the Faculty Association and the students, but also the community, so we can truly, truly understand what we need to do for just the future, as well as what we can change now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dawn Rattan.
Good evening, everyone. I think that when we talk about shared governance, we need to start with the same baseline, and the same baseline and same goals should be student success. And then we build from there, and as everyone has said, everyone has touched on communication, and we all know in this age of different communication pathways, be it social media, emails, water cooler, we've got to make sure we're repetitive, we're very clear in our communication, and that we also involve the stakeholders and the decision makers, as well as the people who are impacted when we talk about shared governance. I too am an engineer, and a thing that we had would be a circle that'd be like plan, do, check, and act, and then adjust. So when we are making a decision with shared governance, we got to use that metric and use that method where we plan something, we may have involved people, we may have done all the stakeholders and all the people we think are involved, but then we do it, then we check, we measure, we adjust, and then we act again. And so that's part of what we've got to use when we do shared governance. And then follow up. The board's goal in this is collaboration, ensure that shared governance does really happen, build relationships with people, and also understand that shared governance really is a situational. It's not a template, it is a situational thing that we do. And we have to always go towards continuous improvement in shared governance. This is something that I've been privy to be a member of the College Council as a board member, and the College Council here has a representative from every part of the college, part-time adjunct, faculty, staff, students, and trustees. And it's just wonderful that we all come together and we all are able to talk, collaborate, communicate, and do all those things that we talked about, and continue to adjust and do the right thing for the college.
Thank you. Next, we have Jeff Holton.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I came here tonight with a lot of excitement. This is my first time doing something like this, and I'm just hoping that I leave here with that same excitement after potentially getting beat up by the moderator over here with these questions. So, when I think of shared governance, a little background on me. I've owned my own business for 25 years now with my wife. I should give her credit as well. And as an owner, I don't look at myself as an expert in everything that we do at my company. So we have an advertising company, and we have designers, and we have strategists, and we have account people. And I don't expect Jenny and I don't expect each other to be the experts in all of these areas. We expect our leaders and our people to be the experts in those areas. And so I'm going to segue into how that leads to shared governance from my standpoint is I believe there should be or could be, I don't know what it is, a formula for getting the right people in the room, and I'm not just the right people, but the right experts in their fields, whether it's faculty, whether it's people that work here in this community. So, and we're getting those experts together so that they can then talk about what is best and then present that story to me as a board member so that I can make decisions based on what the experts in the room believe and feel like we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kenny Stokes.
Good evening, everybody. Shared governance to me is similar to one of my best things that I do, and that's I'm a high school football coach. Everybody has a different job. All of our coaches on our coaching staff that I'm lucky to be a part of, you have defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, so on and so forth. Everybody has their own job. And the goal is to make sure that each one of us as coaches does our job at 100%, make sure that we put these student athletes in the right place at the right time to have the right success. And I think that when you do that, that's the only thing that can happen. Success is the only thing that can happen. So I think that we need to be at that place of doing our jobs individually as a collective, and success is going to happen. I believe in the tradition of this school. I believe what it has done for many people, and I think that we, as the board, are responsible for keeping that tradition going and making sure that students, above all else, has the success. That's it.
Thank you. Next, we have Carlton Abner.
Good evening, everybody. I, too, would like to thank the Faculty Association and the League of Women Voters for having the opportunity to visit with you all today. I started my career out as a ER and trauma nurse, so within the acute care setting, shared governance is a system that we use there throughout the entirety of my career, and is a system that I'm very familiar with. I see two events, though, that I agree wholeheartedly with what the other panelists have said. What I'll add is two events that are happening right now that might cause some consternation if you're a faculty member participating in any of these shared governance committees. One is you've got a new president, and the other one is during this tenure, this group would be responsible for plotting the course in the next strategic plan for the college. And I think it's very important that folks feel they're heard, particularly with those two things. And so I've seen the HLC report from 2 cycles ago, and then a repeat in 2022 that says you've made great strides in adhering to their policies associated with shared governance, and that's great. I want to continue that, but totally understand the consternation as you have a new leadership in place. So, as part as a board member, I would want to make sure that we're still going in the right direction when it comes to shared governance. The last thing I'll say is that it's super important that you close the loop when it comes to shared governance, because folks that are participating in those committees are volunteering their time, right? And so if you're staying after, if you're doing work on your volunteer time, you want to make sure that you feel heard and that work feels like it has meaning and purpose. So closing the loop and getting back to the folks that are volunteering their time to participate in these shared governance committees is also extremely important.
Thank you. So that's our first question. Wonderful job to all of our candidates. Just a reminder that you can submit audience questions. If you have not done so, you can fill out your index card and hold them up, and we will come and collect those. All right, so we're moving on to question 2. How do you propose dealing with the enrollment cliff? How do we keep quality education and financial stability? The first question, or first person, will be Chad Carroll.
Thank you for that question. I believe that Johnson County Community College is a premier institution, and of course there will be an enrollment cliff, but we should also focus on more non-traditional students. And so when I reference students, I mean anyone from 17 up to 73, but we really should focus on people who would like to start their career path or go back to college and actually finish that path. I also believe that we really should market how wonderful Johnson County Community College is. The tuition rate here is exceptional. Whether you're looking at on the Kansas side, Missouri side, Midwest region, it's amazing. And so we need to ensure that we are getting that story out there to attract new students. Thank you.
Carlton Abner.
So as a doctoral prepared professional currently working in higher education, I work at a vice provost at a local university here. We're seeing a similar issue. How do we work to maintain that we have a good experience, one that adds value, and people that are clearly seeing the value? I think that's where it starts when you come to the enrollment cliff. Is the student experience. So the students that you have here, is it a meaningful experience for them? Are they seeing value? Are they getting value for getting what they came here for? I agree here with Mr. Carroll's response as well. You also need to look at some of your non-traditional routes to school. The fastest growing segment right now, to my understanding, is those high school students. And so figuring out ways to get connected, stay connected to high school students. But again, you also, the students that are here, you also want to make sure that you protect that experience. Part of protecting that experience is making sure that you retain the wonderful faculty here, because they're primarily responsible for that experience. And so that is a great question where you have to balance the fiscal responsibility as well as retaining your top talent. So those will be some very important discussions that we have. The last thing I'll say that's unique to this is not only do you need to maintain the experience and making sure people are finding value, when your students are getting here, there's an opportunity that we have right now for a very unique generation of students. One that the literature is clear, more anxious than any other previous generations, and also maybe lagging a little bit behind in their social development than previous generations. So we have an opportunity to pitch a way of filling that gap where Johnson County Community College is not just an afterthought. It could be a way for students to kind of make sure they mature before heading on to whatever's next in their academic journey. So that'd be a good way of branding some other ways of reaching students that may not have considered community college.
Next, we have Dawn Rattan.
So I've thought about this enrollment cliff and lots of ideas for it. One is we've got to emphasize lifelong learning here at Johnson County Community College and have a lot of outreach to our adult and non-traditional learners. Of course, we have been looking into a lot of hybrid options, micro certifications, short-term certifications, stackable courses, and cross-disciplinary options. So there's a lot of creativity that I know the staff and faculty has here to meet that need. And also to make sure that staff does go to professional development so they can stay ahead of this cliff that's coming down the pipeline. Additionally, what we have been learning is a lot of students need what we call 360 wraparound services. So that could be going to our child care center, that could be using our mental health services, or our student basic needs services. So we've got to tap into what else does a student need to make sure that they can come here with a clear mind and learn. Of course, we do give quite a few scholarships that can help someone. I've heard testimonies firsthand myself that a scholarship makes a way for a student to come back to school or to stay in school. We can also customize training for certain industries, and I would convene an advisory board of industry leaders to find out what they need and to make sure we're tapping into pertinent and relevant courses that make sense to them and provide on-the-job training, apprenticeships, and career placements to help with the cliff that is coming along. Also, I think we need to leverage data that we're getting right now for the future so we can plan for what's about to happen. There are signs and there are hints, and we can stay ahead of that. And again, I believe that our faculty and staff can do it.
Thank you. Next, we have Mark Hamill.
Thank you. This has obviously been a big concern for a lot of people for quite a while watching this come up. I was actually knocking doors just a couple days ago and ended up talking to an adjunct professor who posed the same question. They were concerned that there were going to be layoffs and concerns about what might happen in the future. And I will say, fortunately, we're in Johnson County, and our college is not really seeing the projections that many other people are going to face around the nation, other higher learning institutions. We're very fortunate and privileged to be here. So we don't want to take this lightly, obviously. But the main thing we got to focus on is on how to retain the ones we do have. We get students that come in here. We need to make sure we're as inviting as we possibly can, making sure that they can maximize their experience here. In particular, one of the biggest ones, we're talking about high school students that we get to take classes while they're in high school. And then most of the time, they quite often go someplace else. We need to make sure they understand that this is one of the best places they can possibly go in the nation. This is one of the best educations. I believe in the faculty and staff that's been here. I'm a third generation that has attended Johnson County. I'm a graduate from here. I'm hoping my kids end up going here. So we need to make sure we're making this as best we possibly can and make sure they understand that. We need to retain those students to take those classes in high school and come here for a year or two before they go on to their four-year institution. The other thing I think is really important is our tuition costs. And I know that we still have a very low tuition, but I'm committed not to raising tuition at all. I really don't. I think we're past where we need to be. When I attended school here 20-some years ago, I was paying $42 a credit hour. Now we're at $103. That is blowing inflation out of the water. I don't think we need to raise tuition, and we should be exceptional. This is Johnson County, and this is Johnson County Community College. We are exceptional, and we need to show that even with our cost of tuition, not raising that, and make sure everybody feels they can attend here. Cost should never be the reason why they don't come here and experience this great institution. Thank you.
Next, we have Kenny Stokes.
Thank you. I would say that making sure that this institution is affordable is a big thing. I know for a fact, coming out of high school, my family did not have the funds to send me to school. It was either sports or academics. I had to make a way. And I think that if we can keep that tuition down, I think that that would be a lot for families to look at to say, you know what, young man, young daughter, young son, this is the place that we need to start out as. This is the place that we need to go to get that base education so that we can move on to a four-year school. This is an institution that I know has helped my family. My wife, she's gotten a few degrees here. She's gone through the dentistry program here and is a great dental hygienist. So I know the benefits of this school. I know what this school can do. And I feel like we need to really work at keeping that the focal point, making sure that this is affordable for all students. Thank you.
Next, we have Jerry Charlton.
Thank you. I want to touch on something that Chad said early, and that was education from high school to our older citizens, 73 years old. In my profession, we rely on continuing education to stay relevant in our profession. We're required to gain 30 hours of continuing credit hours every 2 years to maintain our license. And along with that is being an engineer, and not necessarily just being an engineer, is recognizing paradigm shifts. And I experienced one early in my career, and that was when we went from boards draftsman to computer-aided design. And we're going through one right now with AI and how we assess and use information. So recognizing those paradigm shifts, and for a school, being prepared to offer education associated with those activities is very, very important.
Next, we have Lee Cross.
Thank you, Terry, for the question. I really think there's so much here that we offer to everyone, and we have something here for you. We just really need you to take a look at us and come here at the very affordable tuition and fee rates that we have. And I want to thank all these candidates for these questions. It really is the battle of a couple dream teams up here. And it's clear the love of the college shines through in your candidacies. And whatever happens, I hope Joy Ginsburg or Kate Allen can use you on the JCCC Foundation Board, because the civil tone here and in a constructive manner to talk about this issue, we welcome your minds because some of us have struggled with it. And I think it was Dr. Bound's administration and Dr. Korb that worked to focus on retention, as Trustee Hamill said, in the business sense, to keep the customers you have and retain them and then build from them. I love this college. My entire family went here, my mother and father. I'm not third. I'm seventh generation Johnson County, not JCCC. And we all went here. It helped us climb out of poverty. I don't know why people aren't here. I fought as hard as anybody to get Dr. Carlson's name off this building, and it's now the Midwest Trust Center. But Dr. Carlson did a lot of good things. I mean, the amateur historian in me thinks that we should look at what he did. I trust Dr. Mix is going to help do many of these things. Go to the rubber chicken dinners, go to the civic groups, go to city councils, meet with all the superintendents, maintain the relationships that did build this place. Because a lot of times it's the grandparents who will tell their kids to send their kids here because they're looking at expensive things on the coast or the Ivy League or out-of-state schools, and really their best options right here. So it starts with us, any of the groups I'm involved in, whether it's the trial lawyers or church. Some of these groups are just struggling for survival in this internet era, but it's up to us and it's up to all of us to make sure everyone knows about us. Thank you.
And next we have Jeff Holton.
So I've got a few answers for this. As a marketing person, I am a believer that when things are kind of on a down cycle, you invest in your story and you invest in getting out there with your outreach. You invest in your marketing so you can share that story with the people that are going to be coming up and have the and share the story so that they see us as an opportunity. I think that I'm a huge people person, and I think if we truly go out and see people where they are and meet them where they are and truly really see them, I think we can make an impact on not just the people here in Johnson County, but the surrounding communities as well. And we need to do, and a great way to do that is showing them that the paths exist, right? So sometimes it's overwhelming to think about it when you're in a family and maybe your parents didn't go to school and all that and those things. I was the first person in my family to go to school. It's a little overwhelming. You really don't know what to expect until you find your people at the university that you end up at or the college that you end up at. I think if we show those people those paths and we get them here and then we continue to show them those paths so they continue that education. I think secondarily, I think that workforce development is an opportunity when you have these things. If we can talk to the corporations around here, they are always looking for opportunities for their people to improve, and how do we partner with them to do that? And I would say my most important one is that I work with, in my agency, I work with some of the largest global companies. And you would think that if they rested on people, that they're number one, and if they rested on their laurels, they would be fine, but they aren't. If you're not continuing to innovate you will be gone. This is a great institution, and if they don't continue to innovate and find new ways to draw students in and provide opportunities to the high school students, then that's what's going to be our downfall. So whether it's in AI, whatever it is, how do we get ahead of the curve before everybody else does? Thank you.
Thank you. And a friendly reminder to get those questions in. We're going to move to our last prepared question of the evening, and then the rest will be the audience questions. Next question is, the faculty at JCCC are unionized. What is your experience working with unions? And first, we'll have Jeff Holton.
So my experience working with unions is that, first of all, I love that you put me back to back. Just keep my mic going. But my experience working with unions is that my father was a 30-year member of a local labor union, the IBEW Local 53. I learned a lot from my dad about unions. He taught me early on how unions build fairness, they build safety, they build economic vitality. All those things create, in the long run, a better community. When we have fair wages and benefits, it lifts everybody up. It lifts up our whole community. It lifts up the tax dollars that are coming into our community. When we have workplace safety, we're protecting the workers. Workforce stability. Is my job going to be here tomorrow? That's a big deal. I mentioned economic growth, and then having a voice in the policies that are impacting you, I think is a major deal from a union standpoint as well. I think unions have great importance. I think that they're a good model for corporations to follow, and they bring value, again, to the overarching community as well. Thank you.
Next is Kenny Stokes.
Yes, so when it comes to this question, I'm going to respect my platform, and I'm going to respect everybody else's time up here. I don't have full knowledge of that just yet, but I will do my best to research that, and I can come back at a later time, and if anybody else has any questions towards that, and I can answer that question, but I'm going to stand true to transparency and honesty and pass it on to the next person.
Next is Chad Carroll.
Thank you for the question. I learned a ton about unions growing up. My stepfather was in a union, and I have current family members who are in the UAW union, as well as in a previous candidacy. I met with a lot of union members, as well as union representatives and leadership as well. I believe unions are essential. I hope everyone, was able to take some time off on Monday, Labor Day. If you do not know, we have that day because of a union. And I think anytime you have a group that is coming together and collaborating to advocate for betterment of all, then I believe it's needed. We've seen in our history in this country how much change has come, whether it's the 40-hour work week or the health benefits. Unions are needed and they're essential. And I look forward to, if I am elected, collaborating with the Faculty Association. Thank you.
Next is Lee Cross.
Yes, thank you, Terry. Thank you for the question. Like Jeff and Chad, my father was in a union. He was a union bricklayer, and so was his father. And then my grandmother was a seamstress in Ottawa during World War II. And then I got a job in Washington, D.C. with the National AFL-CIO, and I helped form Working America, a community outreach group that we started in Missouri, Ohio, and Florida. And then I came back to law school here. I worked on a bunch of campaigns, largely with unions, in union halls, across the country. And then I agree fully with Chad. I mean, unions are essential. And with all due respect to Chad, there were multiple unions responsible for that day, not just one.
Very true.
My wife, one of her favorite plays is Newsies. So Rise and Seize the Day is a big song in our house. And with that said, working with the FA for 12 years now, and then to be real honest with everyone here, including the FA, filtering through and working to decide what's a big enough issue to use political capital with the administration and with the people of Johnson County. The union leaders I've worked with here have been very good about what they do bring to me, but then respecting, my professional judgment, what we do use up capital on, because frankly, we need that capital like in a FA collective bargaining year, and we need to get caught up on the inflation that we suffered as a result of COVID. So as Judy Korb would say, as Dr. Korb would say, we can't fight on every hill, or you can't, is that really a hill you want to die on? So there has to be choices that are made, and I tell my wife part of my charm is my honesty, so I just wanted to say it doesn't mean the union always gets what they want, but it means they usually get consulted, and people will forgive you a bad result if there's a good process. So I have to stop now.
Next is Carlton Abner.
Yeah, can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I've got all of the prompt there.
Absolutely. The faculty at Johnson County Community College are unionized. What is your experience working with unions?
Okay, experience, yeah. As I mentioned before, my background is in nursing, and there's not a lot of unionized workforces here in nursing in the Kansas City area, at least on the clinical side. But I started my career in the Army on active duty as an ER trauma nurse, and there were plenty of places that I've been around the world where I've personally worked with unionized workforces. Coming out of active duty, I fairly quickly ascended to some leadership roles, so I didn't get an opportunity to have that happen here in Kansas City. But my most enduring connection to unions is my mother. She worked 38 years for the post office and was a unionized worker there. And just like we've seen in the literature, there's no question what unions have done for our country, for the labor force, for making sure that people have livable wages, work weeks and vacations and time off, the appropriate amount of time off that they need. And there's no question that higher education has benefited from that as well. What I'd like to add to some of the very well thought out responses here is I think there's also a need to protect academic freedom. And I can see a union playing a huge role in that. This is certainly a time where that's going to be needed, and I would certainly be an advocate for that. But as Trustee Cross said, it doesn't necessarily mean that unions get everything that they want. I believe very strongly that the world needs balance, and unions are certainly will help provide that balance. But in that spirit of balance, you want to make sure that we're not, tipping the scales in any one direction. Most importantly, we want to make sure that all parties that are representing an issue feel heard, even if we don't land on a specific route that they were hoping. My goal would always be to make sure that those parties felt heard. Thanks.
Next is Mark Hamill.
So like many of the people on here that have spoken, my father was part of a carpenters union here in Kansas City. And like him, I was actually recruited by one of his friends. That's a whole nother story. And I was the union carpenter for quite a while. And I experienced many of the benefits of being in the union. When I did construction before I was in the union, I didn't get the same benefits by any means. We had amazing medical care. I got paid quite a bit more. They pulled me from my job by bragging about how much money you're going to make in the union. And I saw some amazing, wonderful things about it. A couple of things, I actually got to work on two of the buildings here, the Rainier Center and the Wiley Center. And that was a great thing to add to my legacy of attending Johnson County Community College and how much I love and enjoy this place. But I will say, the union doesn't always get everything right. It does a lot of great, wonderful things, and it's like everything. Nothing's perfect. And sometimes what I've seen with the union is sometimes they focus on the larger whole, and sometimes they miss some of the smaller groups that don't get touched on. And it happens pretty much anywhere and everywhere. I do encourage the union to be looking at those things as well and trying to look at some of the smaller groups that may not get touched as much. I saw it happen when I was in the carpenters union, and the cabinet makers wouldn't get quite the same representation as the carpenters would. But it's a critical part of the college, and it's done so much to help grow this institution. We got to figure out how to work well together, and collective bargaining, when we go through there and do those, trying to figure out the right pay and the right benefits for everybody is so critical. And sometimes we get bogged down by certain things. I'd love to see us really open up and really be able to talk about a lot more and solve more of the problems. I think we can, if we really work together with the trustees and the faculty association, we can solve so many more problems than we get to. And I just would love to see that happen. So thank you.
Next is Dawn Rattan.
So first I want to be clear that I support workers' right to form a union. And the reason is simple for me. My father was a member of the Teamsters Local 41 for 35 years. It meant a lot to him. He had stickers, hats, T-shirts. And so it meant a lot, and I feel like it supported my family. When my father died, they showed up en masse at his funeral, so it's very emotional for me. And then fast forward to, I was a young operations manager at Procter & Gamble, and I was set to manage this, assembly manufacturing operation as a young, straight out of college. And there were a couple of men that were in the union that worked on the line that really helped me be successful. They were part of my success. Then I moved to human resources, and again, it was a union plant at Procter & Gamble, and we had to bargain the contract under a stressful situation where the plant was about to be sold. And we agreed that we were gonna bargain it on principles, and we really did. And so that was a positive experience for me. Part of being in human resources, part of my homework was to read up on unions. And what I learned was the history of the Pullman Porters. There's a significant individual who helped Pullman Porters, who are largely African American, unionize, that gave them safe working conditions. We talk about the hours, the safety, the living wages, the support, and the community that comes from being a part of a union. And then finally, I would say that I feel like I've built relationships here with the FA at JCCC. We just bargained a contract recently, and I think we had a good outcome. And I was honored to recently be invited with Mr. Cross and Trustee Valerie Jennings to do a welcome with the FA for about 24 new employees. Thank you.
Next, we have Jerry Charlton.
Thank you for the question. I do have significant experience within the unions. However, it's a different industry. As not only am I an engineer, but I'm a general contractor as well. Several years ago, I reached out to IBEW Local Union 53, Jeff Holton mentioned that union, to see about registering as a electrical shop. I was doing work in New England, and I was bidding on union jobs, prevailing wage, right to work projects. And I learned at that time that, ironically, my brother-in-law had registered his electrical shop and was the last one to do that locally, and it was 10 years prior to my walking through the door. There are some great union shops in town for the industry trades, and they provide great training for their apprentices. And but I am I believe in right to work as well, and have bid on right to work projects and successfully won those projects, successfully completed those projects. And on one instance, there was a scope change where we had to hire prevailing wage, which we needed to hire a welder. And up in New England in 2016, a union welder was paid $120 an hour. And we paid that, but there's importance for unions, and there's importance for right to work as well.
Okay, thank you all. So moving to our first audience submitted question of the evening. If elected, what is your vision for Johnson County Community College, and how do you plan to incorporate inclusiveness and equity in order to support all students? First will be Jerry Charlton.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Absolutely. The back-to-back is difficult, I know. If elected, what is your vision for Johnson County Community College, and how do you plan to incorporate inclusiveness and equity in order to support all students?
Going forward, the key industry that is hiring today is analytical and technical jobs, and that is my background. And I provide that expertise. I've been in white-collar and blue-collar work for 35 years, and it dovetails perfectly into the college. With regards to equity, I have a unique perspective on equity, and that is we live in the globe's premier free market economy, and that is based on the equitable exchange of goods and services. And that's built on 3 pillars. Those pillars are equality, affordability, and access. Quality and affordability can take care of themselves. It creates innovation, competition, and keeps prices economical. Access is the key to what we need to figure out what the barriers are for those that need access to the free market. And I believe the biggest obstacle is education. Education is a necessity, and I believe Johnson County Community College is the premier cultural institute here in Johnson County.
Next is Lee Cross.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely.
please,
Yeah,
Terri?
these get a little more complicated. If elected, what is your vision for Johnson County Community College, and how do you plan to incorporate inclusiveness and equity in order to support all students?
Yes, thank you, Terri, for repeating the question. I would honestly work to do better than we've done. I think this year, in a difficult political year, we made decisions, frankly, not to fight the current federal administration, which I largely supported because I didn't want to spend $1 to $5 million to find out that we were right. I feel a lot of it has been wrong, but I'm proud of the culture we have here. We did start a DEI office. I think it's critical that we maintain the attitude and culture of welcoming all people. We make more money off foreign students. I don't know why we wouldn't welcome them here. And we have students from all over the globe, and we have relationships all over the globe, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of everyone in our congressional delegation, whether it's Senators Moran or Roger Marshall, who help us get those grants and help us maintain those relationships. And I'm proud of everyone that we have here and everyone we make feel welcome. When I was chair of the board, I told a story to the HLC as we were getting recertified. They said, you know, you're a white leader in a largely white county. How can you apply DEI? And I said, well, when I was working in Washington, D.C. and living in D.C., I noticed there wasn't a metro stop in Georgetown. And I loved Georgetown. And I found out that Georgetown had fought tooth and nail to avoid a metro stop because they didn't want trouble or black people or anything else coming in and uprooting the economy and the way of life that they had there. Well, they've since ruled the day that they didn't do that. And I think DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is not any kind of favoritism, it's just working to educate people the value of having different cultures. It's not affirmative action. And so I said to this group, I said, it's important that we teach white people the importance of just welcoming everyone. There's more money for everyone if everyone feels empowered, and I agree education is critical. Thank you.
Next is Carlton Abner.
Yeah, thanks. So as far as the vision goes, as Trustee Cross was saying, there's a very contentious time right now. There's this great book called The New Localism by Bruce Katz, and if it's something, it's very dense. So if it's, prepare yourself. If it's something you go out and read. But that book talks about how local communities, local economies can thrive despite and sometimes in lieu of dysfunction we see at the federal level. The Mid-America Council latched onto this book, and they looked at our regional strengths here in the area, and those included our opportunities to create economic advances in defense, energy technologies, data storage, automated supply chain, and transportation and logistics hubs. So my vision would include working with anyone we could work with, Mid-America Council, Civic Council, or anyone else, to see what type of market value assets we could produce for our students and make them ready for employment now. The other thing that would be key to that vision is in ensuring that our students are finding value and then innovating in how we attract those students. Once the students are here, as Trustee Hamill said, it's incredibly important to make sure they get what they came for, that they're progressing through and getting through their academic journey. And as far as the equity and inclusion goes, I mean, it's in the name, community, right? The community means all of us. And so we want to make sure that people, particularly this generation of college students, feel like they've come to a place where they belong. And whatever that, however we can do that, it's got to be something that we focus on, that students come here, they are finding value and community when they get here, and then that they feel like they belong. And those are certainly things that I would work to defend.
Next is Kenny Stokes.
I'm gonna be one of those people too. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, absolutely. If elected, what is your vision for Johnson County Community College? And how do you plan to incorporate inclusiveness and equity in order to support all students?
Well, first, the vision would definitely be to continue the great tradition at this school, to make sure that students know when they enroll here, they will leave here with life lessons. They will leave here ready to succeed in the workforce. I truly believe that everyone that steps foot on this campus should feel like they belong here. Don't care where you come from, don't care what color you are, don't care what background you are. When you're here to get an education, and you're here to get the best junior college education in the nation. And in my opinion, it rivals four-year schools. So this, for me, if elected, I would like to continue that tradition. I would like to continue that view of this school, and make sure that people around here understand this is the standard here is high, and we are to keep that standard and push on towards the future.
Next we have Jeff Holton.
So I want to echo a couple things that Mr. Abner and Mr. Stokes said about community and belonging being extremely important in order to have inclusiveness and equity. But I am a believer that we can't really do that unless we're doing what I talked about earlier, and that is going out and meeting people where they are. What's going on, what's happening in their lives. It can't be, this is what's happening in my life and that's what's happening everywhere else. We have to understand who these people are. What does belonging mean to them? What does community mean to them? Because if we don't have that here, they won't feel it just because we're saying it. I believe that when I look at like the playing field of life from 0 to 18, which is kind of who we're talking about and we're trying to get to come here. I know we have the non-traditional students. When I look at that, if there's a starting line in life when you are born, let's just say that that is like right here in the middle of my notebook here. I don't believe that everybody is born right here on this starting line. And there's going to be people that are born ahead of the starting line. There's going to be people that are born way ahead of the starting line. There's going to be people that are born behind the starting line, and some are going to be born way behind the starting line. And unless we truly understand all those things, we can't have inclusiveness and community and equity, because we have to go out and provide those opportunities. We have to provide those programs for those people in order to feel that. I think Johnson County Community College does some of that, and I don't know everything they do, but I know we have the child care program here because we want people to be able to go to school and have their children taken care of because they aren't able to get them taken care of somewhere. I'll stop on that one, but that's my approach to how we accomplish this, is seeing people where they are.
Next is Dawn Rattan.
So I do have a vision for JCCC in 10 years, and what I wrote is that I envision JCCC as a model community college continuing to be nationally recognized for its affordability, innovation, and student-centered approach, while staying deeply rooted in Johnson County and Kansas. We are an anchor in the community, and our agility to meet workforce needs grows the county's prosperity. Enrollment continues to grow, and everyone recognizes how the school drives economic growth in the metro area. We remain a hub for lifelong learning, cultural events, workforce training, and continuing ed. We grow our community partnerships and our leadership roles. Some of that is funding our upcoming master plan, continue to be affordable and accessible, and continue to be flexible and creative with what we talked about, the hybrid and the short-term options. And then when we talk about diversity, inclusiveness, and equity. In my opinion, as Mr. Abner said, community colleges are the true embodiment of diversity. At JCCC, we have non-traditional students, single parents, working adults, international students, disabled students, students with learning differences, all learning here on this campus side by side. So if that's not diversity, equity, and inclusion, I don't know what is. But they know that JCCC is a place they can come and there's a path to their future. We create a welcoming and inclusive environment where every student feels like they can belong and succeed. Diversity is not just a statement on paper. This is something that we live here on our campus. It's our reality, and we'll continue to make it our reality. And then when we talk about the workforce, building an inclusive and diverse workforce is vital to the success of our city and our whole community, our county, and our country. And representation matters. So we plan to be a part of that. And part of that is the 360 support, the pipelines to internships, mentoring, scholarships, and clubs. Even clubs are good for retention and belonging. Thank you.
Next is Chad Carroll.
Thank you for the question. My vision is ensuring that Johnson County Community College remains a premier institution. I believe that the focus should be on expanding the workforce development as well as the College Now programs. As far as diversity, equity, and inclusion, I believe it's critical to have that here at JCCC because it creates a community that is welcoming to all. Collaborating with people from different cultures and backgrounds brings a diversity of thought, which is why here at the college we have the College Council and various advisory committees. Equity recognizes that various barriers create situations where people do not start with the same resources. By offering classes in person and online, I believe we need to continue expanding that to ensure that we're offering it to everyone. Finally, inclusion is so important because students in the community alike should feel that they belong here. Whether that is offering information in multiple languages or ensuring the campus is accessible to someone who has disabilities, we must ensure that Johnson County Community College is accessible and welcoming to our entire community. Thank you.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, thank you. When I was graduating high school, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I thought about going straight to work. I thought about joining the military. I thought about college. I wasn't really sure college was right for me and I could do it. But fortunately, I had a grandmother, like Lee was talking about. We quite often listen to our grandmas. And probably every year of my life, at some point in time, she said, when you graduate, come here to Johnson County Community College. It's the best education you can get. And eventually, last second, I enrolled in Johnson County, and I'm very thankful I did. My vision for Johnson County Community College is to make sure that the college days is amazing as it has in my experience that I had. People have a better experience even than I had. We have to focus on continuous improvement. Again, I go back to tuition was $43 a credit hour when I got here, and now we're $103. It's above inflation. I want to make sure it's even more affordable for the next generation than it was for me. I want to make sure we're paying back to as many people, paying it forward to as many people as we possibly can. We need to give all the resources to the teachers, administration, and staff that we possibly can to make them as exceptional as they can possibly be in their roles, so we can provide that to the students and just keep the college getting better and better continuously. The next thing, I'll tell you, diversity, equity, inclusion. I don't know exactly if that was the point you were getting at. We obviously voted for that here in 22. I was the only board member that voted against it. And while I think there was a lot of great intentions for it, I think we really got to be really careful what we do and how we look at some of these things. Diversity and inclusion are beautiful, wonderful words when used correctly and with the right intentions. And we want to make sure that we have Johnson County Community College for everyone, whether you attend here or whether you're part of the community. This is the cultural center of Johnson County. It is one of the biggest parts of the economic engine of the county as well. And we need to make sure everybody feels included and belong here. I'm a big fan of equality, and I think in America, this is a land of opportunity. And if somebody feels like they used up their opportunities, we can find them more. This is Johnson County Community College, and I've knocked on thousands of doors and talked to thousands and thousands of people about Johnson County, one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and how it's impacted lives. And when people think their life is struggling and hard, they can find an answer here for more opportunities.
So our next question. What distinguishes you from the field of candidates, and what do you bring to Johnson County Community College in the way of special skills and talents? First will be Dawn Rattan.
First of all, I'll say I was motivated to run for this role because education changed my life. If you look at where I came from, my zip code, my parents' education, you would have thought that I would have gotten an engineering degree. So when we talk about affordability, accessibility, and opportunity, I know it on a personal basis, and that is solely why I ran. But when I talk about my skill set, I like to say that being an engineer, I am a problem solver. I also work on revitalization of downtown underserved area. So I love working in the community. I am mission-driven from my DNA. I pay attention to details. I have personal experience that makes me passionate about this. I have the ability to see the big picture, and I think that we need to have people that can see the big picture and aren't single-issue trustees. I'm good at balancing fiscal responsibility with student success. I have a strong network across business, civic, and community groups. And I can work with people from different areas of life, different political perspectives, different skill sets, different ages, and different backgrounds. I think that I've been a good trustee here. We've delivered some good results. We've had a stable college. We've hired a new president. We hired an interim president. We bargained the contract. We have gotten a lot of results while I've been here. I feel like I am an advocate for both students, staff, and faculty, and I'm dedicated to the success of students. Those are some of the reasons why I think I should be elected as a trustee.
Next is Mark Hamill.
Obviously, we have a lot of people here that love the college, and we have a lot of people in the community that love the college, but I'll say one of the things that differentiates me from the candidates you see up here is that I was a student here. I was a traditional student, started here right out of high school, graduated from here. Even after I graduated, I took more classes. I think I have maybe 120 credit hours here. I just couldn't stay away. When I quit taking classes, maybe it was inevitable to become a trustee at this point. I'll say one of the other things that I think differentiates me on the board, I've taken quite a few, I'm not saying a ton, but definitely more than the majority of 6-to-1 votes. And honestly, I'll tell you, we have a great board, a great board of trustees. We've had some really great discussions and robust ones. And I think it's important to make sure we really ask the tough questions and we don't get them quite well enough answered. Then we got to say no and let's go back to the drawing board and let's try it again. And I think I'm willing to be a little bit of a maverick and say, hey, you know what, this isn't quite fully baked yet. One of the things that comes to mind is the verb. I don't know how everybody feels about that. I think that was a little rash. And again, there was great intentionality with what they were doing and they were looking at issues, trying to solve them. But I didn't feel that was fully baked yet. And I feel like we made a decision a little bit too rashly and good intentions at whatever it was. I didn't feel like the answers were really answered well enough. I couldn't say yes. And I think we should have looked at that harder and done a better job with it. There's a few other things like that. I think we can go a little deeper and a little harder on some things. And I think that's one of the things that's differentiated me from the members of the board right now and some of the candidates. Thank you.
Next is Jeff Holton.
When I look at what the expectations are of me as a board member, the things that come to mind or that I've learned are that it is management of the president, evaluate and approve budgets and policy, represent the residents of Johnson County, and steward their tax dollars. For me, as a business owner for 26 years, I feel like these are table stakes, and you probably wouldn't be showing up here unless you're capable of doing those things. But the things that I feel like differentiate me, maybe not as much, well, not as much, I guess, because people have talked about education, but I am a huge fan of education. I've spent the last 3 years serving on the KCK Public Schools Education Foundation Board. And when I was in college, we were expected to go out and be a part of the community. And one of the things that I did was I was a youth basketball coach in Lawrence. And that brought me to remaining a youth basketball coach all through with my children and other people's children as well. And even that part of the impact that we have on people's lives is fantastic. And I'm a firm believer that a quality education that is offered here at Johnson County Community College can change people's lives. And that's what I'm here for. So I will tell you, I have tremendous anxiety when it comes to running a campaign. It's not a passion of mine. But being up here with the opportunity to sit on this board and impact this community and the surrounding community and the people in this community, that's what drives me. That's why I'm here today.
Next is Jerry Charlton.
Somewhat ironic, I want to repeat something that Jeff said earlier in one of the earlier questions is find the right expert, put them in the room. That's me. With the number one jobs out there hiring, or I've mentioned it before, analytical and technical professions, and we need to prepare our students to enter the workforce with those jobs. Johnson County Community College is a trade school. We have some phenomenal programs. I've been designing welded connections, inspecting welded connections my entire life. I've never performed one weld. There's a welding program here at the college that is phenomenal. I'm envious of all the students that are going through that program. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, in 2016, paying a welder $120 an hour, full-time, that's $250,000 annually. And additionally, my background, I don't promote it, but I'm a railroad design engineer. I design railroad facilities, and I construct them across the nation. We have a phenomenal BNSF railroad program here. That's my background. And just a little bit about my family growing up. The kitchen and dining room in our house, I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and we're all very close in age. And our kitchen was an incubator of creativity, as well as the dining table when we all sat down for meals. And the culinary school here is nationally known, and Mark Hamill has invited me to a couple of the monthly dinners that the students prepare and provide, and it's just absolutely incredible. So I'm the expert. My background fits what the school is doing. It dovetails perfectly into the twilight of my career.
Next is Lee Cross.
Thank you, Terry. I think I have a slight sense of humor. Trustee Laura Smith Everett, a friend of mine, when I was about to become chair, she said I didn't pay attention. And I said, yes, I do. And she said, well, you're always on your phone. I said, well, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
And I'm listening, and I do like to talk, but I think I had a good run as chair, and I had the support of a lot of people in this room and some people at this table. I, too, was a student here in the summer of 1999. I took psych and macroeconomics, and my whole family went here. My daughter now is enrolled here as a part of the biotech program at Shawnee Mission East. If elected, I'd be the only lawyer on the board for the first time in my entire 12 years here. We had Trustee Greg Musel for years, and a friend of mine, Trustee Melody Rail, agreed to come back. We needed her and her experience, and so institutional knowledge is something I want to bring to the board, and I planned to do that when I decided to run for re-election. I agree with Trustee Rattan that using our entire network and talking with everyone to forge the coalitions that we need, whether it's former Senator Molly Baumgardner or Jerry Moran or Senator Roger Marshall. I'm proud to have helped bring Roger Marshall here 2 or 3 years ago, and I know the senator came back a few weeks ago, and I'm proud of that. We've had visits from Jeb Bush and a number of different Republicans, but also Democrats looking to be here. And then I did have a joke at that new faculty luncheon a couple weeks ago that I'm sort of the Crash Davis of Kansas politics. And yet the reality is I haven't tried to do anything else, and I don't want to. I love this college. It's a big part of my life. I grew up in a university town out in Lawrence, and I'm proud of my time here, and I hope the people of Johnson County will give me another shot. So.
Next is Chad Carroll.
Thank you for the question. First, I'm a community college graduate, so I understand the impact that a community college has on its environment, which is why, we supported our oldest daughter to start her college career here, and she loves it. I've had the pleasure of working in the financial industry for 13 years with over a decade of leadership experience. I've led teams and departments through system migrations, mergers, and acquisitions, all while managing budgets and collaborating with numerous different departments. I've been just an avid community involvement, whether that is working with KC Scholars as an essay reviewer. I work with Prep KC on their engagement committee. I also recently graduated last spring from the Johnson County Academy, and I was appointed to be on the steering committee for the Olathe Comprehensive Plan, where I collaborate with numerous city stakeholders on building out the future of Olathe. Thank you.
Next is Carlton Abner.
Thank you. Just distinguishing features include over 25 years of military service, over 2 decades of leadership experience. I mentioned that I'm currently working in higher ed right now in a senior leadership role. And in that role, I do nothing but think about how to protect the experience of our students, and have had some pretty good success in increasing retention there within. I'm also a recent graduate of Kansas City Tomorrow program, similar to the Centurions, a very prestigious program here that prepares folks for civic leadership here in Kansas City area. I literally laughed out loud with something Mr. Holton had said. Well, the campaigning, oh my gosh, knocking on people's doors is not my jam, y'all. But I do it. And the reason why I do it is another distinguishing factor. I care. I care immensely. I care about the students that you have coming here. I care about the faculty and staff that are working here. I started my career, I mentioned, as a nurse, and our professional model is one of advocacy. Now that I'm not at the bedside and haven't been for the last 15 years, what I've always done is figure out, hey, okay, who do I need to go advocate for now? If it's not the patient, who's it going to be? It's always the mission, advocating for the mission of the university, how the strategic plan is laying itself out. And so I've been very gifted at being able to do that. And that sometimes means putting aside, what someone thought you were going to do. But for the betterment of the mission and the vision of the organization, I've always been able to find a way there to advocate on behalf of that mission, our students, faculty, and staff. And really, that's what keeps me going on the campaign trail, is just the passion and how much I care.
Next is Kenny Stokes.
Yeah, so I've been in ministry for 5 years now. And one thing that I've learned in ministry is that things are going to happen. Problems are going to occur. I have become one that, when those problems occur, I take it on full force. I'm ready for it. I like to figure things out. You can ask my wife, she gets annoyed with it. But I'm very much a person that's willing to see people, see their hearts, go after things that can benefit them, can help them out. Same thing with coaching. I love to be in situations where the big picture is everybody succeeding, is everybody having a good game, or everybody finding out what their calling is in life. When it comes to what I can bring to the table, Mayor Bacon of Olathe has appointed me on the Human Resources Commission there in Olathe, and seeing what we do as a commission is an amazing thing. Bringing people of all backgrounds together to be proud to be from Olathe is something that I take pride in, and that's something that I feel like I can bring to the board here at Johnson County Community College, making sure that everybody here feels pride at being a Cavalier. Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to do our last question, and after the last question, we will have their final statement. So last question of the evening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you that trustees have educational experience and background? Why or why not? And our first person will be Kenny Stokes.
Honestly, I think you have to have the passion to care for other people. I don't think it's based on the education. As you hear, a lot of the candidates have different education in a lot of different things. Not so much education in itself, but I feel like as long as you have the passion to want to help these students, whether they're fresh out of high school or the non-traditional student, I think that's what matters. Having a heart for everybody that's enrolling here and making sure that we create an atmosphere here at Johnson County Community College that is inviting to all people, that gives people the confidence that the faculty, the staff, the board are doing everything that they can to put things forward for the students so that they can succeed. So if you ask me, do I think that they need to have some high education in it? No, I think that you just have to have a heart and a passion for people. And when you have a heart and a passion for people, I can tell you right now, that can change things. I know people with education right now that don't have a heart for people. I know people with education right now that could care less about a single mother working 3 jobs, having to get her education and take care of 3 babies. So if you ask me, it's about the heart. It's not about the education to me.
Next is Chad Carroll.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I believe you should have education, and I believe that because you should understand the process that you have to go through, whether you're having to write that final essay at 11 o'clock at night, dealing with the expectations from faculty and professors, and also I believe it's just critical because you can have a vision for what our students have to go through to reach their goals. And I always think it is critical whenever you're leading that you understand what your team or what your students are actually going through. Thank you.
Next is Jerry Charlton.
I love Kenny Stokes' answer, passion. I really do. I chose my profession well. I knew what I wanted to do when I was a little kid in grade school, when I got my first director set. And I love what I do, providing solutions to clients. I even got in a conversation today with somebody about concrete. And we talked an hour about concrete, the different aspects of concrete. I bring that to the table. Plus my background as an engineer, I mentioned earlier, in order to maintain our license, we have to take continuing education courses. So with the programs that the school offers, my background dovetails perfectly into the school, as I mentioned before. I'm passionate about what I do for a living. I'm approaching the twilight of a wonderful career, and I want to share that with our youth. Next is Carlton Abner.
I'm so excited about this question because you get to see my advocacy in real time. As a doctoral prepared professional working in higher ed, I should say 10. You shouldn't even be considered to be on the board unless you have some type of educational background. But the real answer, the truth is it's 5, somewhere in the middle. And the reason why I say that is because, oh man, again, I love that answer too that Mr. Stokes gave, that passion, caring is going to be more important. Lived experience is going to be far more important. And, if we're going to be consistent and true to our values, there's value in a diversity of thought, right? So if you had a board that was just filled with people from an education background, well, then how do you relate to people in the business community? How do you relate to engineers and people who are in mathematics or data or, those folks that are out there, right? Like you need that diversity of thought wherever you go because it makes everyone better. So it's important to have some of that there, but then you also need the other parts, the other pieces of the puzzle to be represented because that's how you represent a community college is by having members on the board who are reflective of the community. So I would not say everyone needs it, but there is value in that some people have that education background.
Next is Mark Hamill.
So obviously the board is made up of 7 individuals, and one of the most important parts is that we have diversity of thought on that board. One of the scariest things that happens in business is when everybody develops a group think. And if we all had the same background on that board, it would not be as efficient, as effective as it is. And I'm very proud of a lot of the work that we've done on this board. And we have a big diversity of background and thought, and had some pretty robust conversations multiple times, where sometimes there's disagreement, and then sometimes we find common ground, and we figure out where we want to end up. And so I guess I'm going to go with 5 as well on this answer. I do want that on the board. I do think it's a critical part and piece. If we don't understand that at all, I think that would be terrible, and I don't know if we'd be an effective board member without somebody having an education background. At the same time, having a lawyer on there has been very extremely helpful. Sometimes we've had 3 or more, I think, at times, but we need to have this diversity of thought so we can really dive deep. And one of the things is being a student and understanding that experience of not just taking a couple classes, but really going all the way through that whole process, I think is critical to have that viewpoint, that student point of view on the board. One of the things I think is critical, but it is about passion and caring about the institution, the people that are in it, and the people that are next to it. And we have to care about everybody in Johnson County, even the ones, I don't know if they exist, but even if there's one out there that doesn't like Johnson County Community College, we have to care about them as well. We want to bring them on board and make sure they understand how great and how wonderful it is, and convince them that they were wrong if that's an opinion they have about the college. So diversity of thought is the biggest key to this board.
Next is Lee Cross.
Yes, thank you for the question, Terry. I get labeled a snob or elite, but really, like somebody once said of Bill Clinton, that he's just scared to death of being discovered white trash. So those are funny labels. But watching Mark Hamill, Trustee Hamill, argue with some other trustees past and current on the board, and bring his experience to the situation, which was largely, if I may say, mid-management level, but critical when governing the college, because a lot of our decisions are made mid-management and passed up to the vice presidents, and then the president reviews and approves largely. So I agree that the diversity of thought, I think Mr. Stokes' answer was great. Having a heart for everyone. I'm for helping people, and I am a redistributionist. And I think that as much as I want to help people, I don't want to blindly burn money like the Dodgers from 1990 to 2015, or the Mets since 1986. Like, you have to strategically find out what's the best way to help people. And sometimes it could be a religious one, where faith and the love of your neighbor is paramount. But bottom line, I love this college because I think it is an efficient means to redistribute and teach people to do for themselves, where they can become an effective part of the economy, contribute as taxpayers, and then learn and earn a good job in the 21st century. As many in the audience knows, and a couple people at this table, I love the book Moneyball, and I had to work it in. And Michael Lewis writes that Billy Beane says you have to constantly improve. He has a bit more colorful language than that, but you have to constantly improve to succeed. So I think that learning is a lifelong skill. I think even at the advent of AI, I think we're going to find a lot of problems with AI. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, says he doesn't think it's that intelligent. I think there's going to be a host of problems that result. And so we need to be here. We need to be here to pick up the parts, pick up the pieces, and help teach people to do for themselves. So on balance, I'd say 10.
Next is Jeff Holton.
As I mentioned, I think in my previous answer or the one prior, about what I've learned to be the role of the board, and it's as the management of the president, management of budget, management of policy, and the steward of the taxpayers' dollars. I have to say that I'm in agreement with many people up here. I mean, I wrote down a 4, so I'm just going to stick with my 4, even though people have said 5. But I think what is required, though, is a good leader. I think somebody that appreciates, understands, respects education, and listens to the experts in education, right? So that we can make the appropriate decisions based on information that we are provided, or based on stories that we are provided. I think that I'm a big advocate of Fred Smith, who founded FedEx, and the thing that I try to instill in the people that work for me as well, and the leaders as well, and the people, is if we build the expectations, if people know how to communicate with me, if they know how to talk to me, if they know how to build the appropriate story, and they understand the expectations that I have in order for me to make a decision, and they know how to get ahead, that's my job, and then that's their job to inform me appropriately so I can make those decisions. I think all people on the board need to be open to conversations. I feel that politics has been this great divider of people in our country, and I think it could be a great uniter. And I think if people are open to conversations and open to all sorts of different views, we should be able to talk in the way that I'm talking. Will things get a little bit heated? Potentially. But we should all be able to have conversations and respect each other's views. And then finally, I'm going to go back to the thing I've been saying, is that we need to appreciate and welcome all people and see them where they are, go out and meet them where they are and see them.
Terry, if I may, can we just clarify if Jeff is a uniter, not a divider?
Next is Dawn Rattan.
I'm going to take this question in two parts because I interpreted it two ways. And one, I just want to say that we have trustees Valerie Jennings and trustees Laura Smith Everett, who are actual educators on our board, and they bring such a wealth of knowledge and perspective to our board that I really value their skills and their experiences, as well as Dr. Abner. I was excited to read his resume and see that he works in higher ed, because that is a perspective that I don't have. The most I do is teach at my gym, and even that's hard enough to get people to pick up a heavier weight. So, but in higher ed, we are trying to create critical thinkers. We're not a business, and I think that the educators we have on our board bring that perspective to us and keep that in front of us. Then I'm going to answer it a different way. I interpreted it a different way that meant how important is it that everyone on the board has a degree and some educational experience. And I remember going to school and that stuff was hard. There were times I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't know the answer. I had to go to teacher's hours. I'd fail a test. And if you haven't been through that, if you don't know what it's like to struggle as a student, can you really help students be successful? And my answer is no. You can't. So my number would be 9.5 if you need a number. There's just different skills, even outside of my core work, that I built in college: time management, independence, even networking. And then when I talk about something that I think certain skills like an attorney and different disciplines bring, you bring your methods, you bring your tools. The way that you assess may be different than I assess. The way that you problem solve and root cause might be different than the tools that I use to problem solve. I want people who are data-based, who are all about the solution and respect higher education. Thank you.
All right, so now we are to the final portion, which is the 1-minute final statements that the candidates were able to prepare ahead of time. So each candidate will have 1 minute, and we will start with Lee Cross.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the JCCC FA and everyone that organized this. I'm proud to have served here for 12 years, and I'm asking the people of Johnson County for another 4 years. It's been very important to me, and I'm proud of the work we've done here. I'm proud of, frankly, many of the compliments and positive things that have been said here tonight. I'm proud that such a diverse crowd can get together in this place and have a civil discussion about what we think is best for the future of our college. And I do agree with Trustee Rattan's statement earlier that the baseline that governs everything is the success of our students. And I think helping our faculty and administration take care of our students literally puts forth customers that go forth and they serve as our best billboards. And then that word of mouth gets around and the reputation precedes itself. So I hope you vote on or before November 4th, and crossforthecollege.com is my website. Thank you.
Next is Jeff Holton.
Settle in, 'cause it's a little longer than a minute, so I got to hurry up. It is because of great leaders like Greg Musil, who served 3 terms on this board, that this gem of an institution is possible. In his commencement speech to the 2025 graduates, Greg stated, "The defining characteristics and the heart and soul of Johnson County Community College are that it is welcoming, inclusive, accessible, and affordable." That is inspiring stuff that a community can get behind and benefit from, and a board should always ensure this is a reality. I am drawn to the mission to inspire learning to transform lives and strengthen communities. I love the program, Accelerating Opportunity Kansas, or AOK, and I'm inspired by the tagline, "If you can dream it, you can do it." Taglines are great and inspiring, but they are only as strong as the people and the processes behind them. I am a believer in education. I am a believer in people and process. I enjoy relationships and want to meet people where they are and have conversations leading to a positive impact on their lives. I enjoy making fun and lasting memories and become the stories that are told. What I can promise you is that I will wake up every day in the service of others and carry the torch that Greg has passed and ensure that the flame stays lit and continues to travel to new places.
Thank you,
If you
Jeff.
desire a Johnson County that continues to thrive, it is imperative that we have these relationships and invest in the future of people and businesses, and that is what a vote for Jeff Fulton on November 4th will guarantee you.
Thank you. Mark Hamill.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everybody who put this together. Thank you for everybody that's actually engaged into the voting. They'll pay attention to this, watch this, read about this. I love this college. I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who loves it more. I know there's a lot of people that do love the college as well, so I'm not trying to take away from anybody that does, but obviously this institution matters a lot to me, and I'm committed to make sure that it's successful and that it's better for the next generation. I think that's so critical to leave it better than we found it. And I'm so thankful to this institution, how it's changed my life and the countless family members and loved ones that have gone here. We got to keep moving forward for the better. You can go to my website, markhamillforjccc.com.
Dawn Rattan.
Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Faculty Association. I've been honored for the last 4 years to serve as a trustee for Johnson County Community College. I want you to know that I'm here, and I'm here for only JCCC. This is not a stepping stone to another political career. I'm here, as I've said many times, because education changed the trajectory of my life, my kids' life, and even my grandkids' life, based on where I grew up and what statistics would have predicted. Access to education opens so many doors, transformed my future, and this is my way of giving back. I want to make sure those same doors remain open for others in our community. Over the next 5 years, I see JCCC expanding its role as both an affordable pathway to a degree and as the workforce engine for Johnson County. That means strengthening partnerships with schools, businesses, and offering flexible options for busy adults and making sure every student has the support they need in order to succeed, whether it's academic help, childcare, financial aid. I have another 2 paragraphs. Rattan for trustee.
Next is Chad Carroll.
Johnson County Community College is a premier institution, and we must continue fostering a community that supports investment in education and workforce development. I plan on collaborating with the faculty, staff, and community to ensure students are successful. I'm running because education has played a pivotal role in my life. I received my associate degree from Longview Community College and my bachelor's from Columbia College during the pandemic. This has given me a career in the financial industry spanning 13 years. I believe that education provides opportunity, and there are people and entities that want to take that away. We must elect individuals who are not fearful but have courage. Courage to stand up and represent the entire community, courage to face any hate head on, and finally, courage to do what we know is right for our students. You can learn more about our campaign at carolfortrustee.com, also by searching Chad Carroll for JCCC Trustee on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you all for coming out this evening.
Kenny Stokes.
Thank everybody for being here tonight. To be honest with you, I'm not the most flashiest person, not the most flashiest candidate, but what I can tell you is this, is that I'm a worker. And I will fight for these students. I will fight for the faculty and staff so that the world knows that Johnson County Community College is the premier education spot to be at. For all other information, Kenny for JCCC.com, and you can find me at Kenny for JCCC on Facebook as well. God bless.
Jerry Charlton.
So I've touched on my career quite a bit in my responses, but I want to talk a little bit more personal about the behind the scenes and what drives me. My parents drive me. They're both gone. I'm a fifth generation Johnson Countyan, and I was raised by incredible parents. My dad was a World War II veteran, fought in the South Pacific, was 40% disabled. They raised 7 of us to get an education. I mentioned earlier that the kitchen in our house was the incubator of creativity. I'm an engineer. My brother's an architect. I have a sister that's got a degree in fine arts. I have a brother that got a scholarship to the Kansas City Art Institute. I've got a sister that owns a electrical contracting business, and I have a brother that owns an electrical harness manufacturing position. When my mother passed away, she was a stay-at-home mom. She worked her last few years after my dad passed away as a administrative assistant for Johnson County Community College. The China Chamber of Commerce endowed a scholarship in my mother's name. You know, go out there and look at it. It's a Betty Charlton Scholarship.
Thank you. And finally, we have Carlton Abner.
I'm off script here in my minute because I've been so re-energized by what's transpired here today. What a wonderful resource we have here. And in this time I want to commit to serving in whatever capacity I can to make sure that this remains a wonderful institute. I believe the community college could be at the heart of advancing real-world learning opportunities, partnerships with businesses, and new collaborations that support capacity building in our region. And as I said, I'm willing to do anything I can to make sure that happens. I believe I've touched on my experiences enough. The last thing I'll emphasize is just my current role as Vice Provost of Student Success. I'm so looking forward to bringing that here and helping make sure our students achieve their academic goals and being a part of that. So thank you for the time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it tonight.
Thank you to the candidates for your participation tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. It's been great to learn more about all of you, so thank you for taking the time tonight. And thank you to the audience for your great questions. We had so many, but unfortunately, especially with 8 candidates, we don't have that much time. So ask them later. And actually, there's an opportunity where you can do that. The League of Women Voters would like to invite you to attend a meet and greet that includes the Johnson County Board of Trustees candidates. You will have the opportunity to speak one-on-one with the candidates. The event is on October 8th at 5:30 at the Olathe Indian Creek Library. Additional information can be found at the League's website, which is www.lwvjoco.org. A couple reminders, Johnson County Community College is an early voting location, so please keep that in mind as hopefully you vote early in this election. Students, you can use your Johnson County Community College ID to vote. Thank you to everyone who took time tonight and those who will be watching this on video. Remember that your vote is your voice and make sure that you are heard this election. Thank you.